Hello, welcome back to Blend Sushi LiveNoding. In this episode, I'm going to explore kind of like instancing method using Sverchok add-on in Blender. Let's say we have like a setup. For example, I have something like this. It's a setup I did inside Sverchok, which is like the instancing of tree, and I actually tidy this up a little bit. So this is the one without the grease pencil setup. So this is just like a bunch of trees being generated on the fly. It's slightly random from one another. It's not so super random, but I could always increase the kind of like the randomization. For example, actually add more or less of this tree clump. Yeah, so I can have like different shape of trees. Maybe I can increase this a little bit so we have slightly more interesting result. Maybe less of this. So yeah, something like that. So it's a bit more random. So let's say I like this, but there are a couple of ways we can kind of instance this tree. So this tree is made up of two different parts. What I did here is actually I grouped them together. When I group them together, I can bring this tree into another blend file simply by doing the linking. So my plan is I'll save this file, this blend file. This is gonna be like a single instance of the tree, and I save it a couple of times, each one with a slightly different variation of the tree. And I have another one. So I have three. This is monad 3, 3, 4, 5. So I have three different kind of tree. And so what I did is in the new blend files, I imported all of them using file and link. And using file and link, we can go under monad instancing and find the blend files, simply find the group. In this case, I call it 3A, 3B, and 3C. So that's the name of the group. When you bring it as a group, it's gonna come into the scene like this, just like an empty object. And then you can, with empty, you can easily instance this guy very quickly. Simply just like doing normal duplications. So you don't need like a particle system or anything. You can apparently do it simply by using Sverchok add-on. So in this case, what I did is kind of using the empty, and I generate a bunch of empties and kind of doing it backwards. So duplicates a lot of empties and make the variations in placing, and then for example, in this case, I have 5 by 5. I can change it to 4 by 4, for example, or maybe 8 by 8. So it's pretty easy. Currently, this is just being arranged as a grid. And what I did using Sverchok next, after I kind of arrange it in the grid, I simply go into the empty and then change this attribute down here. So there is an attribute called duplication and group. I simply use Sverchok to kind of randomize this, whether it's gonna get 3A or 3B or 3C. So yeah, that's actually all possible using nodes. So let's have a look very quickly. So this is the plane. This is gonna be the position for the empty for our trees. This is just randomizing the position of the trees. And here I have a slight, I think, randomization for the rotations. So this is almost like a particle system instancing in a way. I have this list repeater and list split just to have the seed. I'm gonna share with you this setup anyway. And here, this is the interesting part actually. This is the important part. I simply get all the groups that I already link from another blend file. So I can have like 10 variations of the tree, or 20 or 40, 100, doesn't matter. What's gonna happen is that for each empty, it's gonna represents a single type of tree, and if I update it, the blend files, it's gonna update itself as well. So I get the groups, and then here I'm using list item. This is a way we can kind of randomize the instance of the empty. So here, this simply just goes into the duplicate group. So this is like a random, I'll show you what I mean. So it looks like this: bpy.data.groups 3a ca. So this is the group, all the list of the group, and list of the group goes inside the duplicate group attributes of each empty. So duplicate type group, and then just plug that in. So this is the important bits actually, and this is once you're done with it, you can render it out, and this kind of works with cycles. This is also exportable into Sketchfab if you simply apply the instancing. I think for Sketchfab it doesn't like cycles, so you need to switch to Blender render. But anyhow, this works really well, and then you see that each instance actually still keep the coloring. So it comes from the blend files. So if I make any changes, for example, for the tree, let's find, so this is blue, green, and purple. If I go back to one of the three here, the green one, and I make changes here, make it kind of like a pinkish color. If I go back to the layout file, the blend files, I should get this one updated with a pink color. Okay, so that's yeah, I think that's pretty cool and pretty useful. Yeah, maybe it's just one way to do it in Blender. I don't know the most correct way. I know there might be like a different kind of pipeline or workflow that's other Blender artists use, but I kind of like this way because it's a way you can kind of package each and every instance or variations of your generated objects, and then you can bring them all together, kind of what do they call it, ensemble. Yeah, so you ensemble all the parts and put them into layout using another blend files. Yeah, everything is procedural. It doesn't always need to be procedural, but this is kind of nice. So let's say for the plane, for example, you want to change it into a different setup. Let's say ball circle. I think we actually have the hexagonal grid, so we can simply use this, plug that in, and increase the radius. This one is arranged being in a hexagonal kind of pattern. If we just get the center part, which is already happening, it seems. Yeah, this one is arranged. If you look at from the top, orthographic, you can see it's kind of hexagonal. If I get rid of the variations, you can randomize the size also. I think the scaling is being randomized here. So that's the default. I can randomize the scale, make it smaller and larger, nicer variations. Yeah, so that's just an idea on how you can instance like multiple blend files and put it together into single blend files, and it's gonna work with this Sverchok setup. Yeah, hopefully you find this one useful. Let me know what you think. Maybe there's another way to do this. Just let me know. Any question, I'll try to answer. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.